we are living in a global world. Our future will be impacted, will be shaped by events all over the world, not just in one country. I think they should focus more than they do now on the three big challenges for humankind in the 21st century, which are the threat of nuclear war, the reality of ecological collapse, and the threat of technological disruption, especially what artificial intelligence and biotechnology are going to do to our species, to the job market, to the political system, to the life of every person. I would say these are the three major challenges, and I would hope that politicians and business people and everybody would pay more attention to them. Well, first we need to understand that we rule the planet because we are the only mammals capable of cooperating in very large numbers. And all our major achievements as a species are not the result of individual abilities, but the result of large-scale cooperation. Whether it's building the pyramids or flying to the moon or deciphering DNA, it's always the result of cooperation between really millions of people. And to get millions of people to cooperate, you need a good story. And this is what chimpanzees and elephants and dolphins can't really do. They cooperate on the basis of intimate acquaintance one with the other. Humans can cooperate with complete strangers they never met before, provided they all believe in the same story. It's very clear in the case of religion, but it's the same with economics. Yeah, you ask a lawyer, what is a corporation? I mean, a corporation has no body. You can't see it, you can't touch it, it's not the factories, it's not the, what is it? So lawyers will tell you corporations are legal fictions. They are stories told by lawyers, which are also storytellers. And as long as enough people believe in the story, it works. Some of the most successful stories in human history were not necessarily true stories. Again, if you look, for example, at religion, then even religious people would agree that all religions, except one, are fictions. The exception is, of course, my religion. So it's very common in history to find millions, even hundreds of millions of people believing in a story which others would think is not just fictional, but actually ridiculous, but is still enough to shape the world. Usually I would say that a leader that would tell the whole truth about his or her nation or country will never win any elections. Because the truth is usually complicated, is usually inconvenient, unpleasant, has all kinds of dark sides. And that's usually, people don't like it very much. They want to have a nicer view of themselves. I don't think that nationalism is really on the rise. Maybe in the last few years you see a little movement of greater nationalistic emotions, but you look at a level of decades and centuries, nationalism today, certainly in Europe, is far, far weaker than it was a century ago, when Europeans were killing each other by the million over national clashes. If you look at Brexit, for example, then for me as a historian, the most amazing thing about Brexit is how peaceful it is. As far as I know, only one person lost her life just before the Brexit vote. And you know, you had so many emotions and clashes and disagreements. No violence, almost no violence. But you compare that to the Spanish Civil War, you compare that to the wars in the 18th century in Spain, then level of violence is much, much lower. You look, I don't know, at Italy. So, you know, a century ago, Italy entered the First World War to conquer a few pieces of territory which it thought were Italian, and it lost 500,000 people killed and about 1 million injured. Hey, it depends what we do with that. In itself, if we understand nationalism correctly, it's a very good thing. You know, some people imagine that nationalism is about hating foreigners, and that's very bad. It causes wars and the persecution of minorities and so forth. But nationalism really is about loving your compatriots. And if you understand nationalism in that sense, first of all, it doesn't necessarily lead to war. Sometimes in order to take care of your compatriots, you need to cooperate with foreigners. So I think in the 21st century, good nationalists should also be globalists. Because if you really care about people in your country and you want to protect them from climate change, from dangerous technologies, you must cooperate.